Let's talk about something big happening on the global stage. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz recently did something no major Western leader has done in 2 years. Um, he picked up the phone and called Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, why is this such a big deal? For almost 3 years, the world has tried to isolate Putin because he invaded Ukraine. But now, this one phone call has everyone asking what's going on. Is this a real step toward peace? Or could it backfire and make things worse? Even Ukraine's President Zelensky is worried, calling it a Pandora's box that might cause more harm than good. Today, we're going to break it all down in the simplest way possible. We'll explain why this call happened, what it means for the war, and how it connects to the bigger picture of global politics. Stick around, because this story is way bigger than it seems. To understand why this phone call matters, let's go back to the beginning. In 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, claiming it was defending itself against NATO expansion. Putin said the West was turning Ukraine into an anti-Russian bridgehead. But here's the reality. This wasn't about NATO. It was about power. Putin wanted to expand Russia's influence and redraw borders by taking over Ukrainian land. Since then, the war has been devastating. Cities have been destroyed. Millions of people have fled their homes, and thousands have lost their lives. For most of the world, this war is seen as an unprovoked act of aggression. Putin continues to justify his actions, saying NATO's policies forced him into a war, and that any peace talks must acknowledge the areas Russia now controls. But for Ukraine, giving up any land is a non-starter. Fast forward to November 2024. After 2 years of no direct communication, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz decides to call Putin. Why now? Well, it's not just about Ukraine. Scholz is facing political pressure at home, and the war is at a critical point. Scholz told Putin to withdraw his troops and start real negotiations with Ukraine. He also reaffirmed Germany's support for Ukraine, saying they will continue to provide military aid as long as it's needed. Putin, on the other hand, repeated his usual demands. Ukraine must give up the territories Russia has taken and abandon its plans to join NATO. He also blamed the West for the war, a narrative he's been pushing since day one. But here's what's interesting. Before and after his call with Putin, Scholz spoke with Ukraine's President Zelensky to keep him informed. This shows Scholz is trying to balance diplomacy with solidarity. While Scholz might see this call as a diplomatic move, Ukraine's President Zelensky doesn't agree. He believes engaging with Putin risks weakening the global effort to isolate Russia. Zelensky criticized the call, saying it might lead to endless talks that don't accomplish anything. He even called it the Pandora's box, a warning that it could open the door to more problematic conversations. In one of his tweets, Zelensky said, Putin has long sought to weaken his isolation. This call might just be giving him exactly what he wants. For Zelensky, the fear is clear. Without real progress, these talks could just help Russia buy time to strengthen its position in the war. So why did Scholz make this call? It's not just about the war. It's also about politics in Germany. Scholz is facing a snap election, and critics are saying he hasn't done enough to push for a diplomatic solution. Calling Putin might be his way of showing voters he's trying every possible option. But it's also about sending a message to the world. In one of his tweets, Scholz made it clear that Germany is still fully committed to supporting Ukraine. Russia's aggression has been going on for almost 1,000 days. Germany will continue to support Ukraine in every way possible. Now, let's talk about one of the most interesting parts of this call, energy. Putin offered to restart energy cooperation with Germany. Okay. On the surface, this might seem like a peace offering, but let's dig deeper. Before the war, Germany relied heavily on Russian gas. But after the invasion, Germany cut off those ties and started finding other energy sources. Putin knows this, and some experts believe he's using energy as a bargaining chip to push Europe into easing sanctions. It's a clever move, but Germany isn't falling for it. They've already adjusted to life without Russian gas, even though it hasn't been easy. This part of the conversation shows how intertwined politics and economics are in this conflict. Adding another layer to this situation is the election of Donald Trump as US president. Trump promised to end the war within 48 hours. While that sounds ambitious, it raises questions about, how U.S. support for Ukraine might change. Right now, U.S. military and financial aid are crucial for Ukraine. If Trump reduces that support, it could shift the balance of power and make things even more complicated for Ukraine and its allies. Despite these challenges, European countries are standing firm in their support for Ukraine. After his call with Putin, Scholz spoke to Poland's prime minister to reaffirm their shared commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty. Poland's prime minister said, "The Chancellor reiterated Poland's position, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine." This unity is essential because any cracks in Europe's stance could play right into Russia's hands. So, where does this all leave us? Scholz's call might be a small step toward peace, but the road ahead is anything but clear. We see that Putin hasn't shifted his stance at all. He still wants Ukraine to give up land and abandon its NATO dreams. For Ukraine, this is simply not an option. Zelensky summed it up perfectly. There will be no Minsk-Cree. We need real peace. The truth is, peace will only be possible when both sides are willing to compromise. And right now, that feels like a distant goal. Scholz's phone call to Putin is a reminder of how complex this war has become. It's not just about Russia and Ukraine. It's about global alliances, political strategies, and the balance of power in the world. While this call has sparked hope for some and concern for others, one thing is clear. The decisions made today will shape the future of Ukraine and the world. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into global events.